Hello and welcome to another edition of Lab Matters, a webcast from Kaspersky Lab. My name is Ryan Narayan and I'm joined today by Alexey Polyakov, the head of Kaspersky Lab's Global Emergency Response Team. And we'll talk a little bit about some interesting things that they have found on this response team. But first of all, Alexey, can you just explain to me, what is the Global Emergency Response Team? Where is your team based and what exactly do you do?
Okay, I'll start with the story. Within the last few years, our corporate support used to receive few incidents, actually many incidents, not related to product quality.
Okay.
And then, because we care about our products and care about the customers, we went beyond the just support our products. We try to investigate each case, and then we find out that this is incidents that typically customer didn't know how to create a policy, or they didn't configure the environment, so they got infected.
What is an incident? How do you describe an incident? Some sort of infection, malware infection?
Yeah, it's just when malware infects a network or some customer experience some problems, and then this is malware-related things.
Right. Are you dealing with very small customers, very big customers, anywhere in between? What's the size of customers we talk about?
We're dealing with middle, low, and high-level customers. For instance, from 300 seats to thousands or even 100,000 seats.
Right. So, and these are incidents that go to product support and then maybe escalated up to your team for some specialized forensics or specialized...
Exactly. So we work behind support, and usually we respond only to malware-related incidents. So all previous work done by support, and if the case is malware-related and confirmed, then we start doing the business. Okay. And we try to be involved as early as possible in this problem. So that will allow us to fix the problem also as soon as possible. So typically, we've been involved within like 24 hours, and we solve the case within 24 hours.
Okay. What is, and you mentioned earlier about configuration and maybe a network is not properly set up and so on. What's the number one, the thing you see the most, the biggest problem you see the most as you're doing this post-infection forensics and you're trying to put out these fires? What's the single, the single issue you face that you say, you run into a business and you say, oh, here it is again, the same thing over and over. Is there one thing or is it a combination of things?
I would say one thing, and there are also a combination of things.
But there's one that stands out?
There's one that top of out. So I would recognize that most of the company identifies as network configuration problem, misconfiguration problem. Misconfiguration.
Of one specific thing or multiple things?
Multiple things, or even one. So we see the incidents where school department being infected because local file share, local file system drives, they open share for everyone. Okay. Or sometimes we see in big corporation, they forget to configure particular web service or particular file resource, right, or in data center, and get infected through the service. So
if an IT administrator in a business spends the time on configuring things properly, the exposure to malware infection goes down. Is that a fair statement? That if you spend the time on configuration and you add anti-malware and you add your layers of protection, investing in the configuration side becomes very, very important.
Yeah, definitely. So there is a misbelief in the corporate environment that if you have antivirus product, then the full network is automatically protected. But in the reality, it's not true, because antivirus product is just a part of security, right, and you need to care about all configuration, patch updates, all other things.
Right. You mentioned patch updates.
Yeah, patch update is second top from our list. So we also see, I can give you an example. We still receive cases that involving LNK vulnerability. This is a famous TACnet propagation vector.
Yeah, it's been almost a year since.
Almost a year, yeah, and they still have unpatched customers.
Why is this? Because people are not patched, or is it a case of they still have auto running? They still have machines.
There are actually a few problems. Sorry for interrupting you.
No, go ahead.
There are two problems. For small business, like less than 400 customers, the organization don't have enough money to invest into security. And they just say, okay, forget it, just we have a patches, we're secured. But they don't believe they can be infected. For large organizations, this is a different factor. So they may have like laptops, unpatched, like personal user or mobile devices. So it's a combination of the users, combination of the problems. And also the user education. They may not know that the patch update is important, and they may even disable the task or like don't even update tasks.
What's the most common piece of advice you find yourself giving to businesses? Is it just basically get configured properly, get some patch management in place, make sure your antivirus is updated, or is there any additional things? If I'm managing as an IT administrator for a school that has, you know, 5,000 nodes, what are the top 5 things you're telling me to do? Once you do your post-infection, what are the priorities?
Yeah, the priorities first, now the customers, I mean internal customers.
Yes.
In case of school department, the network should be isolated, right? So like a teacher's network should be isolated from students, like minimize the attack surface. Second, the patch update policy. So all machines should be updated on time, not
and
like
this is not only Microsoft Windows patches. When we talk patch
Adobe,
management, we're talking about
yes,
all
right.
those
Java
high priority,
exploits.
Adobe, Java, iTunes, or all this other
exactly.
stuff.
We also received the incidents in May that related to Java exploits. So some customer, even they have the Windows update patches in the place, but they get infected because Java not patched. Or even Adobe, or even AutoCAD. We have also some incident from the customer who has a development cycle in the United States and the factory in China. And they exchange the product, so they design documents. And unfortunately in China, they don't have antivirus. So automatically they got infected when they upload documents, upload. So this is another thing. Also, I'd like to pay attention more on proactive technologies and select the best antivirus solution that have all, not only one level of protection, but multiple levels, like behavior monitoring, like patch installation, and the patch verification module, then host HIPs, like host IDs. Yeah, yes, exactly. Then in the cloud service, and also user education.
Right. Well, user education is something that's, I mean, we've talked for years about making sure things are, making sure users are fully educated and not clicking on things, and that has not worked. And then the explosion of social networks, and you know, people are being trained to click on things in social networks, and this exposure to risk also is a big problem. I'm sure you're encountering.
Exactly. So we faced some. Actually, we have some incidents from the wild where HR department was exploited. So they just receive a PDF attachment, like resume, and resume has an exploit. And the attacker hopes that there is some vulnerability unpatched, or user doesn't know what he's doing.
Right.
And then the whole network get attacked.
Right. And once the network gets owned, then they do.
Yeah, they do thorough investigation and find for better goals, better targets. You know, maybe like C4, CXO office, and they get access to financial department and the financial resources.
So just to wrap up, make sure your configuration is, make sure your network is properly configured.
Yeah, make sure your configuration.
Make sure you apply all the most important patches, including not only operating system patches, but third-party application patches and user education.
And user education.
Those are the three big things.
Yeah, and also I would suggest to some corporations, even small companies, who design their own application, homegrown tools, and they put it on a web service, like publicly faced applications, to follow the security development life cycles. It's available on Microsoft websites and other sites.
So implement an SDL type
because like,
process.
Yeah, for instance, like Java attack, they use the poorly written code just to, if the code actually simply copies like requests from one side to another side, the whole company get infected.
All right, thank you, Alexey.
Thank you much, Ryan.
And thank you for watching another edition of Lab Matters, a webcast from Kaspersky Lab. You can check out some other webcasts over at youtube.com/Kaspersky. Thank you.